everybody, you did one hell of a job. And the only thing else I got to say is, how about them Cowboys? Yeah!
Hey everybody, welcome back to Critical Cowboys. So we got some breaking news. So the Dallas Cowboys, they just signed Dan Quinn as a defensive coordinator. So what does that mean? So defensive coordinator, so basically Dan Quinn would be in charge of all the defensive play calls. So he'll, basically set up all the system for the defense. He'll basically run that defense. He'll coordinate that defense. So let's talk about Dan Quinn, who he is. So let's go into it. So Dan Quinn. So I say his breakout success was when he was defensive coordinator of the Seattle Seahawks. So he was a defensive coordinator of the Seattle Seahawks from 2000. He was from 2013 to 2014. Everyone remembers that year. It was a monster defense. It's very good. They actually had the fewest points allowed and the fewest yards. So definitely Dallas can use those statistics. They definitely need it on defense for sure. So Dallas Cowboys. So yeah, they definitely can use those statistics. I think Dan Quinn is actually an asset to the Dallas Cowboys. The Dallas Cowboys were the worst defense in the NFL. So definitely Dan Quinn is obviously he's gonna do better, right? We've seen it. We've seen proof. So with those Seattle Seahawks, that defense, that team went to the Super Bowl. They played against the Denver Broncos. Everyone remembers that game. It was basically a blowout. Seattle basically blew out Denver. Peyton Manning's that Denver team. Basically, the first play of the game, it was a 43-8 blowout. So that was a big game, and that's how basically that success of that monster defense, Seattle's monster defense, started. So now after that, he actually went to the Atlanta Falcons. The Atlanta Falcons signed him as a head coach. So the 15th season was not that great. They went 8-8. But the 16th season, 2016, everyone remembers that year. That was the year. Everyone remembers that year. It was the Super Bowl against the Patriots. That choke job. Everyone remembers that. So Dan Quinn took them to the Super Bowl. We know what happened there. So the defense actually played pretty good up until the most important part of the game, the fourth quarter, where you need your defense, you need your offense to be at its best, at its peak. If you're going to win Super Bowl, it needs to be at its peak up against the New England Patriots, where they're both good on defense and offense in the most critical time, most critical quarter. That's when basically they had to be their best, and they kind of fell flat. So we talk about how this Atlanta team is a very clear resemblance. In my mind, it's a clear resemblance to the Dallas Cowboys defense right now. It's very young, it's energetic. You got that young secondary. You got young middle linebacking with Leighton Vander Esch, Jalen Smith. And you got some veterans in there as well. Alden Smith, Sean Lee. And you got that young pass rush. So I think Dan Quinn can actually help this team, energize it, make it actually a dominant defense. If Dan Quinn can make that team a dominant defense, and Kellen Moore, Mike McCarthy can focus on the offense, Dak Prescott doesn't get injured, they do well on that offense, this could be a pretty competitive NFC team. This could be a pretty competitive NFC team. So let's talk about that Super Bowl. Let's talk about maybe the coaching. Maybe we get an insight in Dan Quinn's mind, sort of. So basically, arguably, there were certain offensive calls that could have been made. But we know that Dan Quinn didn't really run that offense. It was, Kyle Shanahan. Now the 49ers head coach. He's made some not wise decisions in the most critical time. We've seen it in 2016 Super Bowl. We saw it last year in the Chiefs 49ers. He decided to chew time in this near the second half rather than get the points. We've seen that. So let's talk about the play that play that encapsulates that Super Bowl. So basically, after Julio Jones made an incredible catch. It was like the fourth quarter, 5 minutes to go. Matt Ryan slung it to Julio Jones. He made an unbelievable catch. At that point, everyone really thought it was over. All you had to do was run the ball, take time off the clock, and take off those 3 timeouts off New England, kick the field goal. You pretty much win the game. Pretty much win the game. All they need was a field goal, and that would basically make New England's job a lot harder. But instead, that offense decided to throw the football, and what do you know? Matt Ryan got sacked. Second down, he got sacked. And then the next play, it was third down, there was a flag, so that pushed him back, pushed him further, and basically pushed him out of field goal range. We know that. And then, they had to go. They went for, I think it was like 3rd and 30 something. It was a far third down. I think it was 3rd and 20, 23. So basically, Matt Ryan threw it, went out of bounds, incomplete pass. It was an incomplete pass. So there was a lot of poor mismanagement that was caused here. But I would not just give it all to Dan Quinn. I'd contribute some to Kyle Shanahan. I don't know what percentage I would say. Maybe 60% I would say to Kyle Shanahan, 40% to Dan Quinn. Dan Quinn, of course, he can make the decision. He could choose to run the ball. That's why I'm giving him the 40%. But it was Kyle Shanahan's offense. He ran that system. It was a great system. We've seen it. But you got to know in that critical play, you run the ball. So he's not going to be a head coach with the Dallas Cowboys, so that's good. You got Kellen Moore as the offensive coordinator. Dan Quinn's the defensive coordinator. Dan Quinn's going to call his specialty. He's going to be focused on that defense. He doesn't have to worry about the offense. Let Mike McCarthy, Kellen Moore do that. So overall, I think this is actually a good signing. I think you're basically bringing two, basically on that staff, you have 2 former head coaches, and they were very successful. Mike McCarthy with Green Bay, we've seen him win a Super Bowl. That's successful, I would say. Dan Quinn, he had that Seattle successful that year in 2013, 2014 when they went to the Super Bowl. And that defense basically led them to the next Super Bowl after that, where they lost a crushing heartbreak to Tom Brady and the Patriots again. So I think, and also his experience in Atlanta, he can learn from that experience. So I think they should do well, but I'm a little bit cautious because when they fired him, they were choking a lot of games. So that could worry me, but we do know what the offense has. They have an elite wide receiving talent, an amazing running back. If they can just improve it, I would say improve in that offensive line, and that offense could do well. You got the young, energetic defense. Dan Quinn coached them. He knows how to create a winning defensive culture in there. So definitely Dallas does need defense. So I think this is actually a great signing, and this definitely helps Dallas. Subscribe and like to Critical Cowboy. It's free. If you do, I'll throw in a Cowboy celebration. Well, here you go.
Second down and goal. Elliott into the end zone. Oh, man. For Elliott, that's his 13th rushing touchdown, and the Cowboys lead it 9-3.
And then you go jump and promote a very good cause down there in the end zone, Salvation Army. Everybody throw something in because there's a good chance Ezekiel Elliott's going to be in there.